Hi everyone, this video is for section 8-3, Geometric Activities, Pythagorean Theorem, Similar Figures. This problem that we're going to take a look at specifically deals with similar figures. The example reads, you are asked to increase the size of a two-dimensional figure by 160%. The original figure is a 4-inch by 6-inch rectangle, and we want to calculate the new dimensions. So in order to get started, what I've gone ahead and done is just drawn out a standard rectangle and labeled the 4 inches and the 6 inches. And we know that if we want to increase the size by 160%, just in general, visually, we know that we're going to be creating a bigger rectangle. And that's all that I'm doing here. I'm just drawing a rectangle that is visibly bigger. I don't actually know if this image, if I can say this image is 160% the size of the one that I've drawn in blue. So essentially what we want to do is we're going to, say for example, work with the 4 inches. I want to know what 160%, and actually let me rewrite that. What I'm asking myself is, what is 160% of 4 inches? And actually what I can do here is, the way that I've worded this question, it actually allows me to translate it nicely into a mathematical problem. So in this case, what I might do is, for example, 160%, this could be rewritten as its decimal version, so that would end up being 1.6. The word of, we've kind of encountered or discovered in previous lessons, that's multiplication. And then the 4, this is already set. So when I ask you what 160% of 4 inches is, I'm really saying complete the multiplication problem 1.6 times 4. So why don't we go ahead and do the work here. So 6 times 4 is 24. We're going to carry that 2 to the 1's place in that 1.6. And then we're going to do 4 times 1, which is 4, plus that 2, which is going to give us 6. And we do have one digit that is after the decimal place, so that means I'm going to move my decimal place in one position. So now I know that 160% of 4 inches is going to be 6.4 inches. So it is important to not forget those units, especially if you are working with a word problem. Make sure that you include all those details so that the picture that you are explaining is completely filled with the detail. There's no guesswork that's left that you're leaving to the reader to figure out. So if we go ahead and we take a look at the other side, 6 inches, we're asking ourselves, what is 160% of 6 inches. And again, we can do some translations here. So again, we can change our percentage into a decimal. We know of refers to multiplication, and then we're going to just drop that 6 down. And again, if we do 1.6 times 6, we're going to get 6 times 6 is 36, so we're going to carry that 3. And then 6 times 1 is 6 plus the 3 gives us a 9. And since we only have one digit after the decimal place, we're going to move our decimal in just one spot. So now the dimension here is going to be 9.6 inches. So this is your solution. The dimension of the new rectangle, instead of it being 4 by 6, it's going to be a 6.4 by 9.6. What I want you to kind of be aware of is we could also kind of use some of our mental math here instead, just so to kind of give you the full-blown picture of this. So, for example, if we are looking at 160%, what I'm saying is we could break that down and say this is 100% plus an extra 60%. So what I'm saying here in the case of the 4 inches is I get to keep 100% of what I started with. Well, that would be the 4. And then if you think about it, 60% is really 10% times 6. 10% of 4 would be 4/10. Again, just simply moving that decimal point in one spot. So then we would do 4/10 times 6 would give you 2.4. Well, 4 plus 2.4 is going to give you 6.4, which is what we figured out previously. Again, if we were to look at this for our 6-inch, we could say that we have our 100% plus our, let's just go ahead and say 10% times 6. So I'm just kind of decomposing it to show you the mental math portion of it. So if we have 100%, that means that we get to keep the 6 inches that we started off with from the original figure. 10% of 6 is just going to be 6/10, and we're going to multiply that by 6. That result ends up being 3.6. So take a look. 6 inches plus that 3.6 does give us 9.6. So again, you don't necessarily have to note this information. It's just kind of giving you a different perspective to look from. Also to kind of help you jog your memory with regards to the mental math that you've been doing with percentages. But again, you could also do the multiplication problems that I have outlined in red and purple. So I hope that this explanation was helpful. If you do have any other questions, please let me know.